you've talked a little bit about how education, society has become feminized. You also spoke in your essays that there has been a cultural degradation of the masculine. What did you mean by that, and what evidence do we see of that?
Oh, well, well, being a person of a certain age, the most obvious thing is what's been done to Star Wars. Right? There's been a cultural degradation of the masculine in what's been done to Star Wars, and particularly the characters of Han Solo and Luke Skywalker, particularly Luke Skywalker. The Kennedy Star Wars, the Disney Star Wars, has been a massive degradation of the franchise. And the Luke Skywalker of the second film of the new trilogy wasn't a continuation of the character in the original trilogy, episodes 4, 5, and 6. It was a complete degradation of that character. We have somebody who, think about the scene towards the end of The Return of the Jedi. There's Luke Skywalker, who's allowed himself to be deliberately captured to protect his friends. He's alone, in every sense. He's in the hands of the Emperor, who he knows is an incredibly powerful figure, and Darth Vader, who he also knows is an incredibly powerful figure. Yes, he knows now he's his father, but he's his father on the other side, right? And he deliberately sacrifices himself, and he's offered this, and so he's physically brave, and he is offered all the power he wants, and he turns it down in that position of, he can join his father, or he can replace his father even. And so he's morally brave. He's a physically brave character. He's a morally brave character. And what are we offered in the second new trilogy? Somebody who so betrayed everything that on the basis of a mere vision was going to kill his own nephew and disciple. It's a nonsense claim. It's an offensively stupid claim. And it's there clearly to degrade the masculine. You've got to take the male heroes away. And you see this cultural pattern again and again and again. And it's why Hollywood's numbers are crunching. They're having flop after flop after flop because they cannot deal in a resonant way with positive masculinity. You get, the occasional breakout, but, Denis Villeneuve or, I'm having trouble tonight. The guy who did Dunkirk and Batman and English director.
Christopher Nolan.
Christopher Nolan, right. One's English, one's French, right? They're not Hollywood people, even though they're doing Hollywood movies, right? They have no problem with powerful and positive masculine figures, one notices. But the Hollywood stuff, the degradation of the masculine in the culture is just striking and a box office failure. The Disney Star Wars, Disney has lost money on that. They paid so much for that franchise and they spent so much on films that have either flopped or simply done way worse than they otherwise would have. In the new trilogy, every film made substantially less than the film before, which is not how a successful franchise operates. So you get this cultural degradation of the masculine. You get this pushing up of Mary Sue's. And Rey is such a Mary Sue character. Everything bends around her. The universe bends to her benefit. In the third film, they sort of kind of tried to put in a training sequence, but it was way too little too late. She could, that scene in the first in the trilogy where she, who had no idea she had force abilities, no training in lightsaber at all is a woman so physically weaker, nevertheless beats emo adolescent Darth Vader, who's had years of training and is physically strong. Okay, he's wounded. And also force is one of those things that you can say, well, males and females, it sort of counteracts the maybe. But it was a nonsense. Training doesn't count. She's just great because she's a woman, right? Training doesn't count. He's just going to lose because he's a man. So you get this again and again and again. You get this degradation of the masculine, and to the commercial detriment of the people doing it. And this is why things what you can see happening, for example, is why East Asian dramas are really, really taking off, because the K dramas from Korea and the C dramas from China and so forth have no problem providing strong male characters. I would point out they have no trouble providing strong female characters either. They don't feel the need to degrade either. They just present you with great stories. And they're being really, really successful. Japanese comics are displacing American comics because, again, they have no problem with, strong male characters, just like they have no problem with strong female characters either. So there's no feel for the degradation, need to the degradation of the masculine. And I'm actually very fond of Chinese dramas. I watch them quite a lot. And you absolutely see that the female audience is very important in Japan and China, right? You can tell the way they present things. But you have good men and you have bad men. You have good women and you have bad women. And, the men are bad in the way men are bad and the women are bad in the way women are bad, right? So they don't feel the need to degrade either. But in fact, when you look at it, I only do the costume dramas. I can't comment on contemporary C dramas, so I only watch the costume dramas. But they've got a censorship regime, so you can't have sex scenes, and there definitely won't be any boys implying they have sex with each other. That's not going to happen. But they don't have installed commissars. The censorship is known, but it's not pervasive. That's one reason I like them. I mean, you're not being propagandized at. But you go to so much of products of Hollywood, you are absolutely being propagandized at. And of course, they do have commissars. They call them diversity officers and intimacy consultants and so forth, right? And various other terms. But they're commissars. They're political officers. And, they affect how what is presented, and it's got to protect, it's got to push what the critical drinker calls the message. And you just get annoyed with it. And you say, I'm not going to watch this rubbish. Look, over here, I've got Chinese dramas that still have a powerful sense of beauty and tell stories which are based in character and don't try and preach at you. I mean, it's very sad when you watch the products of a communist tyranny because it's not preaching at you, and you avoid the products of the American democracy because it is preaching at you. Very sad.